5:00 on a Wednesday. Welcome in our Dollar Loan Center video audience to Prater and the Ballgame on Idaho Sports Talk. How do you build a basketball roster in today's college basketball climate? Football too, but basketball a little bit different. And we are joined now in studio. Pleasure to have him back on the program, the all-time wins leader at Boise State when it comes to basketball. And to be honest, I don't know if there's any coach on that staff right now, Leon Rice, who has had their head coaching position longer than you have been running hoops. Can you name one?
Gordy Prestel.
Oh, Gordy got you.
Yes,
yeah.
Gordy got me.
You're right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Leon Rice.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Beautiful summer day out there. Oh, look at Max's jersey.
Yeah, we got
there.
Max's jersey hanging in here now. Right next to Kellen Moore laying on a bed of roses.
I love
That's pretty good, huh, Leon?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're just happy that you made it here, and I'm sorry that you and Bob had to rendezvous in the alley.
Yeah.
I bet you've never met Bob in an alley before.
No, other people, but never Bob.
I appreciate you putting up with the construction. This could have been an easy phone call, and I know it was a pain in the butt, and I know you're busy, but thanks for coming down, my friend.
Oh, it's more fun to see you guys
It
face to
is,
face. I get
Leon.
withdrawals. You know, I see you guys after games,
All the
day
time.
before, and then just nothing. You just leave me, and then I'm all by myself.
And then it's football
Yeah.
season.
And then it's football season.
Hey, wait till the end of this interview, Leon, when we talk to you about the time you christened our wall of fame here.
I like that. That's so great.
Leon was the first one to ever sign it,
Wow.
and he took up
Yeah, I
27%
did. We
of
could
the
have
real
had a-
estate.
You can put pictures over that, though. That's easy. Yeah,
We'll
that's good.
talk
You
about
were,
that.
you were literally the first guy to sign that.
That's cool.
Now look
That's-
at it.
This is the studio
Yeah.
shape it up.
We're
You know,
going to auction that thing off and give it to Joe Nickel for the collective or something.
Oh, that's cool. Look, but you got some good collectibles in here. I'll have to add to that. I'll bring
Absolutely.
you some
How about that
gifts.
one?
Oh, there we
Does
go.
that look
Yeah,
familiar?
that's good.
Prater's pointing to
I love
Leon's
it.
book, The
Yes.
Unbreakable Culture, that
And-
now sits in the ropaint.com studio.
And you can
too.
only see the cover because everything inside is secret.
It's top secret. That's right. Yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta pay for those results, no doubt.
You guys, Leon, let's just talk this roster. You guys done yet?
Yeah, we are. We are done. And it was just, sometimes circumstances go your way and sometimes you get bad hops and good hops. And it really felt like just things went our way this spring as far as being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes with this portal stuff, it's as simple as that. And you got to be able to pounce when it's time to pounce. And I thought my staff did an amazing job with that, and our administration. That's where things have changed so much, because recruiting is just not the basketball coaches going out and finding a kid. Hey, we like this kid, we'll go recruit him. Well, now you got a GM that has to negotiate contracts, and it's pro sports, and you need. That's I've said this before about Jeremiah and Cody and these administrators that are doing so much work for us. They're doing such a good job of staying ahead of the curve. Just, you don't have to be years ahead, because you can't be years ahead because you'd be guessing on too many things. But we've stayed ahead of the curve enough that we're able to make these plays and get stuff done where, I talk to all kinds of coaches, and there's a lot of frustration out there where if you're behind the curve, you can't get stuff done.
Like, if you don't have any money, I mean, you're just telling a kid, we won't pay you, but we'll give you all this and this and this. And I would imagine the kid's going to say, okay, I like you, but if there's any type of offer, I'm probably going to take that before coming with you. You guys are okay. And Prater said you got a big secret. You're never going to tell anybody what the payroll is.
Right.
Mountain West conducive, though. Is it upper level Mountain West? How much you
Yeah,
can
we
pay
are.
this roster, Leon?
That's the thing. You look at some of the amount of money that's being spent around the country. We're not with the big, Big 12, Big 10, some of those schools of how much they're paying. But I think we've, in our league, I think we're doing pretty good, and more than pretty good.
Okay.
But like I said, we've got administrators that are helping. We've got boosters that have stepped up, people that have been this important, that Boise State's important to them, both in football, men's basketball, and all these sports. We couldn't do it without them stepping up. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's a coach in a league maybe below us a little bit, but he had hardly any money. And he was getting out recruited by an NAI school because they had more money.
Oh,
okay. Wow.
It's just crazy. It's like,
wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
but we do offer some, there, sometimes you aren't going to match dollar for dollar, but you can, the things that you can offer are different. The opportunity, the player development, the culture, so, some kids are just going straight for the amount that is the biggest amount. Others are looking for something specifically. I want development. I want a great teammates. I want a beautiful city. All those things do add up. So maybe you aren't able to match dollar for dollar, but we're competitive, and because of that, with the other things that we have to offer, I think it's really made us effective.
Leon Rice in studio, building a basketball roster here on Prater in the Ball Game. Loving having him on. High school players. Actually, I'll save that. Just in today's era, Leon, when you have the choice, I don't know if it's easier or more difficult, because back in the day you had high school kids. And then the JC was kind of, do we want to go JC route? Only get them for 2 kids. Maybe there's some character or whatever academic issues. We're taking a risk there. I know you guys did that a lot in Spokane. JP Batista was a massive hit for you guys. But so I know you can do JCs, but now you can do whatever the heck you want. I know you got to pay them, but is it easier to find teams and build rosters now than it was before the transfer portal, where you had high school and JUCO?
You can never say, it never gets easier. It just is always changing and becoming different. Does that make sense? Because, like when we started winning more, even going back to my Gonzaga days, people say, well, that's going to make recruiting easier. And I'm like, well, no, now we're recruiting against better teams.
Good point.
And the portal, it's just become, you have to sort through so much information and so many players and find a way to be efficient, find a process where you're not giving up what makes you good. And as far as getting the OKGs here at Boise. And so, we've done things on the fly that we're trying to evolve and do things differently and becoming more scientific about it. Because when you recruit like a Tyson for 4 years, you guys met him, you got to know him, and you were blown away by his character.
The best.
Yeah. But it became, the longer you got to know him, the more you saw who he was and the better you could evaluate him. Well, we got to make those decisions on guys now, like in instant time. And so, we're coming up with personality tests, things that, more that we can be more scientific to identify those characteristics that are important here at Boise. And, you take Tyson's personality, you study it, find out those characteristics that he had, and then we got to go out and find those kind of guys in a hurry. And that's, when time is of the essence, you don't want to sacrifice character for talent.
Boise State's next scientific experiment, cloning Tyson Degenhart, kind of like the Vandals and Dolly the sheep way back in the day.
We did.
Hey, let's talk specific. You brought your sheet.
I did.
I got my sheet here. I'm going to guess they're probably a little bit different, but I kind of want to go down this and so let's do some roster maintenance. I got 5 hardcores coming back: Bowie, Keene, Carmichael, Meadow, and Buchanan. We can agree on those 5.
I
right?
had to bring my sheet because there's so many.
There is.
It's funny. He has a roster right in front of him, Leon.
So 5 returning hardcores.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds. I haven't broken them down that way.
But I went with those, and then I went with 5 newcomers.
Well, let me tell you the philosophy behind it. With all the, what we try to do is mix analytics with feel with. All those things have to go, because I know coaches that are too analytical and too much feel. You got to get all the data and all those things working together. What the data will tell you is the teams that can retain and have a majority of their points or expected points coming back, those are the ones that are in the best shape. Now, you got to have the right guys, and sometimes, there's always anomalies to these theories and things like that. But our priority one was to keep these guys that have been on a path to getting better. And all those guys you named are all guys that I know are going to make a big jump. And, when you look at the overview of our roster this year compared to maybe a last year roster, you knew night in, night out, if Tyson showed up and put his uniform on, he's probably going to have 18 points and 8 rebounds.
Yep.
We got a group that this guy averaged 12. We got to get him to average 15, 16, 17, 18. This guy averaged 8. We got to get him to, so these guys have to move up, which they're workers. They're great guys. They've shown that they're trending up in that direction. And it's really all those guys you named. I think, the thing that was kind of under the radar that you guys probably don't know is Javen. Javen had 2 major surgeries as soon as the season ended. And, one of them was the same surgery that Max had going into his junior year.
The back?
First, Max had both the same ones Javen had, and it was the hip. And he had that right before his junior year. And remember, that was one of his best years ever right after that surgery.
That's right.
All league.
Yeah. And so I think you're going to see a big jump in because, there was films where I'd watch and I'm like, wow, why isn't he getting that ball? He usually, and when started adding up and talking to him and getting the bottom of
that explains a lot.
It
Leon.
did.
It does.
And you look at when he played good is when we were able to get him that rest before the crown. He felt the best he'd felt all year, kind of for a little bit, but you're going to see a kid make a big jump because of his health. And it's a big jump from NAI to this level. There's an adjustment. And I thought he was he had 2 games of 28 points.
Yeah.
And so against good teams. So that's a guy that's going to make a big jump. Andrew's a guy that's going to make a franchise kind of player, that you can he's going to become a first team all league guy, those kind of situations. And then, with Pearson and Julian, you guys have all seen it year after year after year, the jump guys make from their freshman to sophomore year.
Yep.
They just get more comfortable. Their bodies start to change and become men. And I saw that throughout the year with those 2, and that, they're going to be great sophomores. And then RJ, he's going to be a guy that maybe understands that you can score at this level more than what he's given us. Doesn't mean you have to change who you are, but he was a 2,500 point scorer in high school. He can score more.
Yeah.
I like Pearson Carmichael's the guy that I'm most excited to see take the next step in terms of his offseason progress. I'm in love with that dude. Yeah. I think that's a really fun core 5. I can't wait to see how you play that out. So the next 5 that I have here are the 5 newcomers that I kind of wrote down. Drew Fielder, the center, and Dylan Andrews. You put them into the immediate rotation. Got the Spencer Aarons kid, a combo forward, kind of a forward, and then the Noah Bendinger kid, the combo guard out of Utah. I think the Bon Baum kid is probably going to be more of a redshirt developmental guy, but I need you to say that. So 5 new guys coming into this program. How do you talk about those dudes?
Well, I am so impressed, Prater.
You've
done your research. That was, I think you hit them all on the head pretty darn good. That was impressive. And now this, I had to, it's
Leon is
it's pronounced
Prater's
bun,
piece of paper,
like a hot dog bun.
And Ballgame has been working with me on that one. So bun,
good
bomb,
job.
Bun bomb. Okay,
bun, like a hamburger
bun bomb.
Yes,
it's a bun bomb.
It's a bun bomb.
Is he a developmental guy? And our Fielder, Anderson, Aarons, and Bendinger guys that we could see maybe this coming season right off the bat?
Yeah, but I never want to put a guy in the corner and say this and have my mind made up. We got to see it, let it develop, and. But I think that is accurate, and that's what he wants, and that's what
he wants to be developed.
Yeah, and that's why we got him. He was recruited pretty heavily because he'll make some plays where you're like, man, this guy is the highest major of players. This guy play anywhere, and then he's got you just got to get stronger. But we saw in him kind of what we've seen in a James Webb, a Derek Alston, guys like that. Where where you saw glimpses
just
of
need to develop them, and all of a sudden they pop and they're all league players.
Yeah, and
in Webb's case, an NBA player.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's got all those the basketball body, moves like a basketball player. He comes from a family of achievers. He's he's
an OKG. It sounds like
he really is. And the great thing about that is our connection to Link Academy. We got the background on him. It's not like we had to guess, and we know a lot more about him than he probably thinks we know. So he's he passed all the all the tests.
I love it when a coach says that we know more about him than he probably thinks we know.
I think that's usually the case with me. Guys are surprised about that. Yeah,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, especially in a small town, you always know.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
Leon, tell me about Drew Fielder and your hopes and dreams. You know, what type of year, like how can Drew Fielder most help this program? Heck, even improve from last year.
Well, it's so exciting to get him back. And, when we did put out our roster a little bit and looked at it, it was really cool to see Boise, Idaho on there.
Yeah. You got a local guy.
It's been Max and we haven't had any, hardly any others. And to have Drew coming home, it's pretty exciting. And, I remember watching him a lot when he was younger and his recruiting blew up and it was all over the place. But I do remember thinking, well, in this modern era, let's let him go away, mature, and be ready for Boise when he comes back. And I think we're getting him at a great time.
We're going to get 2 parts with Leon Rice. Part 2 after a quick commercial break. We'll say sayonara to our Dollar Loan Center video audience, and we'll catch you radio only when we come back. Prater on the Ballgame, KTIK.